can reasonably be called an ideology, it doesn't exhibit those particular characteristics one would normally associate with a religion or faith. However, just as sort of an aside here really, faith also has another sense which is somewhat distinct from the previous one, you know, the one where it's just a synonym for religion. Faith can also be used to mean confidence, belief, as in the expression to have faith in someone or something. And in this very specific sense, it wouldn't be wrong to say that though socialism is not a faith in the sense of being a religion or a set of religious beliefs, faith does enter into it in the sense of a need for confidence or a belief that socialism can be achieved, and that socialists, we do need to have that confidence, that belief. Now, we will of course argue that this faith, this confidence, this belief, comes from our observation and knowledge of history, from an understanding of the world around us, and not from a process of taking our desires or our wishes for reality. So, socialism fundamentally differs from what a faith in the sense of religion normally does. So if I can come back to the Manchester member who talked about real hope, his real hope in referring to socialism comes from the fact that the case for it is actually based on real evidence. So it's real hope and not blind faith in that sense. We're now left with what you might call non-established religious belief. This is what my World Socialist Movement correspondent mentioned earlier, what he described as the right of people to hold whatever belief they may have in a God or deity, as long as it's an entirely private matter. Some form of theistic belief, if you like. And these are the kind of thin, insubstantial forms of religious belief that so many people hold today, or at least they say they hold. Some people here may remember an argument that erupted in the party a few years ago, not so long ago at all. A small group of members argued that we should accept into the party people with religious ideas, depending on what those ideas were, because it wasn't always the case that such ideas necessarily conflicted with the socialist case. And these members became so convinced that this was a serious obstacle to the growth of the party that when their idea was not widely accepted, unfortunately they left the party. They quit because they said this was holding the spread of the idea up. And one of their arguments was a purely practical one. A survey had shown that when asked, a large majority of the population of Britain claimed to have some kind of religious belief. If I remember rightly, the figure was 85%. 85% of people in Britain claimed that they believed in God in one form or another. And so the argument of these people these party members who then left was that in automatically excluding believers from the party, we were in that way allowing ourselves to consider for membership a maximum of 15% of the population. We were excluding the other 85%, no matter how sympathetic they might be. Now, I won't attempt to rehearse that debate here, though I personally tend to have what some would no doubt call a fairly soft line on this, as encapsulated, I think, in part of the response which I gave to the WSM Inquirer I mentioned earlier. I'll just repeat a tiny bit of what I wrote. I've always been agnostic on this one, or rather I've taken the view that it depends on what the nature of a person's religious belief is. Religion then, inverted commas. Right, so just to pull some of the threads together then, can we talk about a socialist society fulfilling needs other than material ones? Well, since human beings clearly have needs other than material ones, I think we could and should. And I don't mind stretching it to include what some people might decide to call spiritual needs, if that's the vocabulary they use, needs of the human spirit, which can't necessarily be defined in material terms. I also think that belief in God or in religion in modern society, hangover though it may be from former ages and ways of understanding the world, may also in many cases be a substitute for those needs of the human spirit which capitalism can't possibly fulfill. And we don't therefore need to be hostile to it in an entirely blanket way. On the contrary, the fact that socialism may appear as a society which may give those needs a chance to be fulfilled may be the very reason why our ideas seem to exercise a certain attraction for at least some people with religious beliefs. But as for socialism being some kind of replacement religion, well, I think we can safely reject that on the whole, although I've been brought to think that for some people in the party, it has at times been dangerously close to that. But on the whole, I would certainly reject that. So, to sum up, socialism is not, to quote that Manchester member again, blind faith, but rather real hope, and I would add informed hope, based on what has happened, what is happening, and on the fact that in all its twists and turns, predictable or unpredictable as they may be, time and time again are the party's analysis of capitalism and its inherent inability to deliver decent lives for people throughout the world continues to be confirmed. It continues to be vindicated, and it continues to point to socialism as the only solution to the dilemmas of social existence.
Right, thanks very much to Howard for an interesting talk, and yeah, lots of points there which I'm sure are relevant to all of us in the room. Yeah, we'll begin. Anyone got any comments, questions? Yeah, I think Andrew, you had your hand up by a split second before Simon.
I'll stand up because I'm not very tall anyway, so like, and stand up Andy Davis, oh you already are. Okay. Howard, I thought your splitting off of spiritualism and non-material needs and putting that together with the needs of the human spirit was a very, very incisive point. Okay, we don't have spiritual needs, but we do have non-material needs. You know, I don't want to like go on about it, but like you know, this sort of society that we're in at the moment, like, as I'm 41, right? I'm a male, white male in society, yeah. And I live in a built-up area. If I see a child in distress, I feel like awkward about going over and giving that little kiddie a hug. You know, that's a different issue there that's going on. But that illustrates some of the stuff that's going on around the way that capitalism affects interrelations with one another. And I'm talking about all these kind of like, you know, kind of now, like I work with kids in my day job, you know, so it's like, you know, you're not allowed anymore to go out and sort of actually kind of in the park, you know, go and have a walk if you're a bloke on your own. You know, you can't do it. I'm going off at a bit of a tangent on that, but the other thing I would say as well is like, I took Eileen out for a little meal earlier on, and we were in the pub, and I was talking about my Auntie Teresa, right? And said my Auntie Teresa, you know, bless her, you know, she died. Auntie Teresa died aged 54, about 6 months ago. Now, I don't believe that Auntie Teresa's gone to heaven. Like, I was brought up as a Christian Catholic, you know, before I was in the party, you know, like I was a Catholic Christian, brought up that way. I was always sceptical about it. But when I talk to my mum now, I say, Mum, do you really think that Teresa's gone to heaven? Do you really think she's gone to heaven? And she'll say, well, no, I think she's gone back to the earth. And actually, most religious people, when they put their minds to it, say, well, you know, they go back to the earth. And I talked to my dad about it as well. I say, Dad, what do you want us to do with you once you snuff it? And he says, well, all I want you to do is, like, put me in a box, put me on the conveyor belt at Streatley Crematorium, and scatter my ashes over the golf course. That's where I love to be, and I want you to remember me. You know, over that golf course. I always think of Dad playing golf, and he's still alive now. He doesn't even know I'm here. I've been a member of the party